Everyone, how's it going? Cloud here, and today it's time for episode 4 of my series 100 Clue Scrolls. So, just to pre-tell you guys, because a lot of you are saying, oh yeah, you need to try and do an elite clue scroll sometime. Today's one will be a hard clue scroll, but the next one for episode 5 will be an elite, so you can look forward to that one. Hopefully we get a much better reward from that. I've basically found a new sort of way of obtaining clue scrolls, both hard and elite, quite easy, as well as some good loot, but I might reveal that to you all a bit later on. I don't really want to mention it too much at the moment, because otherwise everyone's probably going to bombard the idea, or the other alternatives, everyone already knows that idea and I've been a complete noob since then, so which is highly likely. We won't say any more there. But today's episode, I will explain to you all how to do the puzzle sliders a bit more, and I'll actually talk you through it, because a lot of you mentioned that would be a good idea, even though at the moment on the EOC servers it does actually show you the finished puzzle. Even for the old ones, this method will help. All you'll need is just like to look up the picture of the finished version so you know what to look for, but the actual method of obtaining that is basically going to be the same thing. But we'll get on to that once we come up to that part in the guide. So today's reward overall will be pretty good. I think we hit about 112k in this episode, and also it was relatively quite a short one. A lot of them didn't have any really sort of coordinates or anything. It was mainly just like sort of like different areas to discover, so it was kind of like the riddle one. So obviously the first one was about the Drainer Village one, and I remember that off the top of my head by the first bit where it mentions Aggie, which is obviously the witch, and then about the other one with the Dazzling Drawers, which is Jimmy Dazzler's house. He's a bit of a weirdo. What a name is that, isn't it? Jimmy Dazzler. Hey everyone, I dazzle people. But yeah, so there wasn't actually too many complex ones in this one today, so it ended up being finished quite quickly. The only time-consuming bit was the puzzle box, which still weren't really time-consuming because I know how to do it. So without further ado, we'll get on to how I complete the puzzles personally, and then you can obviously watch how I do it on the video as well as hearing it. So obviously for the puzzle sliders, you've got all these different squares and you basically need to move them around to make the puzzle. On the EOC servers at the moment, you can use the hint scroll to show the finished picture, so you can kind of have a reference to do so. However, for anyone who's watching this who wants to do this method on the 07scape servers, all you need to do is search on Google clue scroll, like puzzle slider picture, and I think there's like 4 or 5 in total. You can either get the troll, the castle, there's a few, but yeah, you can basically find a finished image, and then you can use this method to do it as well. So let's get started. So what I always tend to do is start with the very top line. So you've got the 5 squares right at the top of the puzzle slider box. So what you need to do is first off try and attain them. Now generally the best method to do is to do 3 of those squares first all together, and then the last 2, it's kind of difficult to explain, but you've got to imagine it like a sort of like train track thing. You need the last 2 pieces of a line to go together at the same time, otherwise you won't fit them in. So generally say we've got squares 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going from left to right. I always make sure number 5 is in front of number 4, and then making them follow each other so they fit in that line well, and because obviously there's no other way of doing it. Once you've got that first line completed, then you want to move to the next line down, which will be another 5 squares, so again from left to right with numbers 1 to 5. So following the same routine as before, you want to do that, and again when you get to the last 2 squares of the puzzle, number 4 and 5, you want to make sure they interlink together before moving into the puzzle. Obviously keep watching the video as I'm saying this, it will make a lot more sense to you, and you'll see how I'm doing it. And then once that line's completed, you then want to do the same method for the 3rd line. This is the last time you'll repeat this method though, because the last 2 lines you want to do differently. So once again, squares 1 to 5 from going left to right, make sure you fit all them in, and making sure the last 2 squares you need to place in that line are connected together before doing so. It is honestly basically like a train. You've got to imagine it like a train track. You've got to move all these other pieces out of the way to make the main part of the train and the carriage, if you will, fit into the rest of it. So that's the best way to explain it. Hopefully it makes sense. Others of you are probably thinking, wow, Cloud has a weird obsession with trains. Not at all. So that brings us to the last bit of the puzzle, which is the more complex part, but it's still quite easy to do. So as you can see, we've got 10 squares left. Obviously another 5 on the 4th one down, and another 5 on the 5th one down. What you want to do is make sure that you do the bottom left corner first. So where you've done the 3 lines, you've got 2 squares in the very corner. These need to be fitted in first before working on anything else. So you want to find what piece is the very corner square, so the very bottom left corner of the puzzle, and then you want to find out what the square above is you're going to need. And doing the same method as we say about the train track carriageway, you want to do that to fit those 2 pieces together. Once you've done that correctly, then you want to do the very same thing for the very next square next to you. So where you've just completed the corner, move 1 square along, and you want to do the same for those 2 squares here. Obviously keep watching the video for the reference. Once you've done that, that then leaves you 6 squares to get the pieces in the right place, but you've only got 5 pieces, so it's much easier to move it around. So generally, if you're lucky, they'll fit together pretty well, or if that isn't the case, you might just have to jumble them around quite quickly to make it work. But whatever you do, as long as you make sure the other pieces are correct, do not move any other pieces you've done up to now. As long as you keep moving these last 5 pieces around in the 6 squares, you will eventually complete the puzzle. So the problem other people have, they go, oh, I need to move this one around here, and they start messing up, like the 3rd line, for example, and you basically get yourself in a right pickle there. So and then eventually, once you've got those last 5 squares in the correct place, press check that obviously it's the finished version, and obviously if you're on the 07 server, just be careful to check that your image is exactly the same as the others, because you don't have the hint button. And once you've made sure that's correct, press the cross on it and speak to the person. And if you have done it correctly, which you should have done, you would have then completed the puzzle. And obviously in this case, that was the last thing I needed to do for this clue scroll, which granted me the reward. So hopefully that little walkthrough there will help you out. I have tried to slow the actual footage of me completing the puzzle down to link with the my audio that I've done. And obviously I will do a couple of other walkthroughs in future guides for any other puzzles. Like I'm thinking of doing the same for Celtic Knots, although that'll be a lot harder to sort of explain, but I'll try my best to. But anyway, like I said, a overall fairly good reward for this one, 112k, which I won't moan about too much. We're still above the 100k mark at the moment, and obviously the next one being the Elite Clue Scroll, we might, fingers crossed, get a much better reward, so we'll see how we go. But anyways, that's it for the video today. I hope my little walkthrough of the puzzles has helped you there. If you're still not sure, then you can always ask me in the comment section below and I can explain it further. If you want, when we next have a puzzle box in a hard clue scroll walkthrough, I can soon do another detailed guide of how to do it. So, but hopefully what I've explained there will help you out. Just remember the train track carriage thing. I know, you've stopped laughing at me. Anyways, thanks for watching everyone. Please make sure you like, favourite, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to share with your friends.